person is peeing into a bottle.
Oh. Well, I haven't seen a penis on the street in a long time.
I'm so passionate about helping you find your purpose.
Thank you. I didn't ask for that.
I've spent days, weeks, months thinking about how to help you find what you're supposed to do with your life. So I've actually developed a scavenger hunt. Where just going through just the deep thinking, you're gonna get to where you need to be. Are you ready?
Yeah, the pressure is high, but I'm ready.
This is a place of sound and stage, with the arts in grand array. Curtains rise and lights do shine. Find this venue from a past divine.
A past divine?
Yeah, divine is kind of a synonym for this place.
The Majestic.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good. When you first said that, I thought we were going to Fair Park.
Nope, let's go.
Okay, we made it.
We're at the Majestic.
This is the Majestic right here.
Now it's time for your next clue.
Okay.
A fortress of knowledge with stories grand, built with glass and by demand. In its halls, wisdom's found. Seek your next clue on solid ground.
I mean, I assume it's the library.
Yeah, it was kind of a complex clue to just be like, the library.
It was a complex clue.
Library.
We made it to the Dallas Public Library. I've never been here.
I've never been inside this location, but I have been inside other locations.
Well, okay.
Have
and
you been
also
inside
with
of
me.
other Dallas?
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Okay.
Just
We're
not
like
the
good
downtown
citizens,
one.
okay?
Yeah.
Your next clue, a lofty sphere, both bright and tall. Revolving high, it sees it all. Illuminates the night so clear, a beacon that brings many near.
That's the Reunion Tower.
Yeah!
That was easy. All right.
So easy.
It was easy. I'm very good at this scavenger hunt
You're
so far.
so good at the scavenger hunt.
I really know my locations.
Okay. From this floor, history took a turn.
Oh, I know.
A fateful day that made hearts yearn. Books once hid the tragic view. Now this museum beckons you.
The 6th floor museum.
Ooh.
Ooh.
In a space for grateful hearts, where water flows and peace imparts, a monument rises to grace the sky, a square where reflections lie.
Thanksgiving Square.
I'm so thankful that you got that.
Thank you. I'm so thankful that I know every place we've been so far.
I know. So good at this. Above the streets, a green expanse, where city dwellers take a chance to play, to eat, to simply be. This park provides a canopy.
Oh, it's Clyde Warren.
Yeah.
That one was one of the harder ones.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's go. Okay, there's no parking around Clyde Warren.
No, but you should show them that we are here.
But we are here.
Here.
That's Clyde Warren Park.
See?
Baroque strokes in a sleek abode, where creative minds their vision showed. Glass and stone in a grand display, here the artist has it say.
Yeah, I imagine it's the DMA, but I was kind of hoping it was the Nasher. But it's neither one?
It's the DMA, but now I feel like I let you down.
You didn't let me down.
A sanctuary where faith endures, with stained glass windows and open doors. Historic pews where many pray. Find this church not far away.
Ah!
Look! Oh my gosh!
Found it!
It's our church where we work! Now, do
Wow, would have never guessed that was on the list.
you know what your purpose was?
To come back home.
No.
Oh.
Your purpose was to take me to the bank and get me a Starbucks, and you thought you were doing something fun. Hi, I'm Roy, and this is Studio 3A. I'm here with my friend Anna.
Hi, y'all.
And this is a place for people who like to ask hard questions. Today we're talking about purpose.
I rolled my eyes because we keep asking hard questions. Like, what is belonging? What is purpose? Like, what is
You want
suffering?
some easy questions?
Yeah. Sometimes I just like a softball.
What's your favorite part of the movie Aladdin? We just talked about how she hasn't seen the movie Aladdin, so that should be a softball for a millennial. The correct answer is Do you trust me? Do you trust me? Then jump. Best part of the movie.
Sounds like a Gilmore Girls scene.
No.
Okay.
First, I need to apologize for having a cold this past weekend, and so my voice is weird. Whatever.
Okay. I don't think it's as weird as you think it is.
It sounds weird in my head.
Yeah.
Second, because we're talking about purpose, some people, the way they get their purpose and they get their mind right in the morning is by having a routine.
Oh my gosh.
And that can really set them straight for the day.
Do you want to know what my dad told me all growing up?
Yes.
It takes 21 days to make a habit. It takes 3 days to break it. And so
that's some good advice.
We had to make our beds, brush our teeth, whatever. But he would be like, if you take 3 days off, it's broken, so you better not.
Yeah.
Anyway, I don't know why that made routines.
So recently, Jacob was giving me crap because not only do I have a morning routine, I have a routine on my phone in the morning.
No, you don't. Oh, like what you do on your phone?
Right.
Not like a list.
Right. So first, I open Twitter. Because I need to see what happened in the world overnight.
Okay.
Right. And then...
As Twitter users do.
Yeah.
Kyler does that too.
Yeah. But then I go to fantasy baseball. I don't know why that's next. But then I set my roster for the day.
You have to do that every day.
Yeah, because it's a daily. They have baseball games every day.
Every day?
Yes.
Sunday through Saturday.
Yes.
There's a baseball game.
Except during the All-Star break. Not every team plays on every day. But during the season from day 1 to they each play 162.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. So then I check my finances. I
Every day?
don't know what. Yeah, because I see what charges were on my credit card or whatever.
Okay.
And then
that's probably fiscally smart.
Yeah. And then I play the New York Times games.
Do you have an order for those?
Yes. First I play Wordle.
Okay.
Then I play Strands.
Okay.
Then I play Connections.
Okay.
And then I play the Spelling Bee.
Okay.
So after that, I check my Gmail.
You're still in bed.
Yes.
This is after
I might have
you've woken
gotten
up.
at some point. Annie has asked for a walk.
Okay.
And I've taken her on a walk, and I've come back and gotten back. I'll get back in bed to finish the routine. But even if she breaks me up,
okay,
I still go in the same order.
Oh, okay.
So then I check my Gmail. I check my personal Gmail, then my work Gmail.
You check your work Gmail before you get to
Just
work?
to see. I don't read it closely.
Okay.
And then I check Instagram.
This is a long task list.
And by that point, 30, 45 minutes have gone by. Back to Twitter.
Because something in the world could have happened.
Exactly. So it just gets me in the right place. If I haven't done it, things are not gonna go right. And he, this weekend, learned that I do it all in the same order every morning.
That's
and
wild.
I don't understand how people don't do it in the same. Don't you have things you want to look at and you don't do it in the same order?
No, I don't.
When your alarm goes off or whatever, you pick up your phone.
Okay.
What's the first thing you do?
So first thing you should know is that I snooze at least 4 times.
That's fine.
I heard that was really bad for your REM sleep.
Yes, I turned the snooze off on mine.
Nope.
So it's literally you can't press snooze.
Kyler sets multiple alarms. I set one. He turns his off as they come up. I snooze mine 4 times.
That's fine. It's fine.
So then by the time I'm ready to get up, I usually get up, go use the restroom, and then it's cuddle time for us and the dogs.
Yeah.
So usually we'll call our dogs, Jax and Juno, up. Jax doesn't like to get up there because Juno's mean to him, and she just kind of kicks him off. But then I just kind of hold Juno. I'm acting like she's 5 pounds. She's 55 pounds, to be fair. And then I probably scroll, because I'm in charge of the church's socials. I make sure I didn't miss a comment.
You're already thinking about work at this point?
Yeah, because a lot can happen on the internet overnight. You think about the world. I'm just worried about the things that I moderate.
Yeah.
And then Kyler and I like to have coffee outside. So
that's cute.
Yeah, it's pretty cute until it gets warm. So we try to do that between 7 and 7:45. Mm-hmm. So we go outside and we sit on our back porch, and the dogs are having the time of their lives. And then usually I journal. And if I finish journaling before that time's up, I'll read. And if I don't, then I just journal and finish.
I feel like your morning routine is much healthier than my morning routine.
I think health is a spectrum. I think there's a wide variety.
So I drink coffee with my husband. I look at the outdoors. I journal in my journal.
One of our favorite Instagram follows is Andrew Heberman, and he always says you should get 10 to 15 minutes of sunlight in your eyes when you wake up because it sets your circadian rhythm.
Yeah.
So we do try to do that.
Our blinds aren't very like.
I think you have to go outside.
No, it's pretty bright in there.
Okay.
Like it's pretty bright. Okay.
Okay.
Like we don't have curtains; they're just the slats.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So it's pretty bright.
Yeah. And then I make breakfast because I'm a breakfast girl.
Wow.
How
much time?
It takes me about 5
When
minutes
do you
to get ready
check
to work.
Twitter?
You're not gonna like that answer.
When do you
0
check
times.
your fantasy baseball roster?
0 times.
When do you check your finances?
In the afternoons.
When do you check the New York Times games?
I don't play them.
You notice how I'm doing it in the same order?
Yes.
It's drilled into my brain.
And you know what's great about this show is that it functions in the same order. So we're going to wrap up here.
Uh-huh. And then what's going to come after that?
And then we're going to read a poem.
And then after that?
Mitchell
is going to do a message about purpose.
Yep. And then we're going to come back here.
Wow. It's
Routines.
very reassuring to me.
It's giving us a lot of purpose.
Yeah.
Okay, let's act on it. What Life Should Be by Pat A. Fleming. To learn while still a child what this life is meant to be, to know it goes beyond myself, it's so much more than me. To overcome the tragedies, to survive the hardest times, to face those moments filled with pain and still manage to be kind. To fight for those who can't themselves, to always share my light with those who wander in the dark, to love with all my might. To still stand up with courage, though standing on my own, to still get up and face the day, even when I feel alone. To try to understand the ones that no one cares to know and make them feel some value when the world has let them go. To be an anchor, strong and true, that person, loyal to the end. To be a constant source of hope to my family and my friends. To live a life of decency, to share my heart and soul. To always say I'm sorry when I've harmed both friend and foe. To be proud of whom I've tried to be and this life I choose to live. To make the most of every day by giving all I have to give. To me, that's what this life should be. To me, that's what it's for. To take what God has given me and make it so much more. To live a life that matters. To be someone of great worth. To love and be loved in return and make my mark on earth.
So Eli and I had been married just for a couple of years, and we decided we were going to get out of the city. Here in Dallas, it gets a little, claustrophobic. There's a lot of concrete, a lot of cars, a lot of people. And so we decided in 2014 that we would take a trip to Big Bend, which is a national park here in Texas, right on the Rio Grande, right at the bend. That's why they call it Big Bend. It's an amazing place. There's nothing like it in the state, and it is very isolated. Like, no one goes there. So it's quiet. It's away from cities, obviously. And it is this rugged territory that has a variety of sort of trails and hikes and different sort of mountains and canyons and rivers, and it's just gorgeous, right? But the best thing about Big Bend is the night sky. And so I remember we were camping down in the basin our first night. It gets dark. I'm exhausted, but I am laying outside my tent and I just cannot fall asleep. And I was enamored by the night sky. I've never seen anything like it. The detail in which I could see stars and galaxies and nebula. The Milky Way was a variety of colors. It was unbelievable. And I just couldn't stop staring at it. Seeing shooting stars, meteors going off all night long. I couldn't get sleepy. I was just fixated on this night sky. And it was beautiful, and I was staring at it. And there came a time where I started to sort of get anxious because of how amazing and beautiful, but also just large the night sky looked, and it made me feel really small. And I kind of had like an existential crisis while I'm like staring at this sky, right? Like I begin to like wonder like, what is my existence? Why do I matter in the midst of this sort of grand show that I'm watching above me? Like, how do I even fit into this? And what was an amazing, beautiful night turned into sort of like this anxiety producing like evening in which like I found myself still thinking about it as I closed my eyes back in the tent. And I think that this feeling of existential dread, this existential crisis that we sort of stumble upon from time to time, it's a very real thing, right? In fact, in the 1980s, existential psychology kind of came online. It was all based off of like, how are people handling the idea of the Cold War and this sort of looming threat of nuclear disaster. And they were doing some studies in the 1980s, and they were able to sort of tell that folks, when they're experiencing this existential crisis, like they feel better if they are connected to a community. The challenge, though, as they've tried to replicate these studies, and especially in the midst of the pandemic, is that it's kind of hard to replicate in a laboratory feelings of existential dread. Like everyone knows it's kind of a study. It's hard to like manufacture that feeling. It sort of just comes to us. And we saw this during the pandemic, right? In 2020, like there were a lot of questions about existence and purpose and identity and like what it means to be alive. And they've done some research most recently in Amsterdam where they've been looking at language. And what they realize is that in these moments of like threat, of impending doom, people's language changes and we become much more absolute in our thinking. And I think this is what we saw during the pandemic, right? We wanted answers to questions that had never been asked before. And we wanted to have certainty in the midst of a lot of mystery. And so what we see is that as people get more and more anxious about who they are, what their purpose is, what their identity is, they cling to things that give them some sort of comfort, black and white thinking. They find themselves speaking in very strong absolutes, using words like never or always or absolutely, right? And what tends to happen is we find ourselves in these places of comfort, and then we realize that we have become disconnected from the broader existence of humanity. And so when we think about purpose, like why are we here? Well, it might be because we're looking at the night sky in Big Bend, or maybe it's because we're anxious about a pandemic, or maybe it's because we've just lost our job, or maybe it's because we're about to have a kid. It doesn't really matter what produces that feeling, but if we're to start thinking about like, why are we here? Why do I matter? What is my identity? Like, who am I in the midst of everything that is going on? The challenge is to sort of reject absolute thinking. Because if we're really going to get serious about finding our purpose, we cannot find it in isolation. We kind of have to belong. But we also have to do a couple things. Researchers realize that to sort of lessen the impact of this absolute thinking and this anxiety, folks needed to do two things. They needed to serve others. And anxiety was lessened when people started creating things. Now, you saw this a lot in the pandemic, right? I started baking again. It had been like years since I had done that. I started baking. Eli, my wife, was coloring in a coloring book, right? We needed some sort of creative output. It actually helps. And when we can produce something that is good for the world and we can serve others, this question of purpose becomes much more obtainable. And we can begin connecting why we exist to something much larger than ourselves. Jesus in the Gospel of Luke, in the 4th chapter, has a very clear purpose, at least in Luke's Gospel. Jesus says that I have come to bring good news to the poor. And as I sort of ponder what it means to be a pastor in a church in 2024, and I see that we continue to struggle with finding purpose, I want to invite us to think about these two outlets that keep showing up in research, which is, if we're finding ourselves disconnected, if we're struggling with our identity, if we can't find our purpose, we can find true meaning in serving others and creating. And as we do that, I believe we will get deeply connected to our faith communities and will become more connected with our God. There's no doubt it is a scary time to be a human. And there's going to be a lot of questions about why we exist. And you may be feeling existential dread right now. But the truth is, if we can look beyond ourselves and we can offer the world something, anything, why we exist and who we exist for comes into focus.
I like the connection, if we're going to tie what we talked about last week to this week, between belonging and purpose. That really, you can find your purpose, you can try to find it on your own, but you're not going to really know what you're supposed to do or called to do, if we want to use that language.
Yeah.
As Christians, maybe.
As pastors.
We're somewhat obligated to. You're not going to know unless you do it with other people or in community with other people. Because your purpose is never for yourself. It's always, I think, in relation to something else, right?
That's smart. I haven't thought about it like that. Like I just haven't taken the time to put that together.
You can never have a purpose of like, if it's even like, I want to accomplish this or I want to do this, it's usually in relation to
something else or
someone else in some way.
Yeah, absolutely.
Unless it's like
you stumped me on that one.
I know. Unless it's like, well, we just had the Olympics. If your goal is to be like, I want to be the fastest person at this, that could be your purpose, and that doesn't really have to do with the relation with any other people.
Well, and I don't know. It has something to do in relation to the other times of swimmers or runners or whatever.
And you do need help with other people to get you to that goal.
Right, like you have a coach.
Yeah.
That reminds me, my dad always told me like he didn't care what I was as long as I was the best at it. And like in relationship to like being the best or the fastest or the one that does this instead of this, like you are always in relationship to others.
I actually heard I've heard an interesting thing that boomers, their parents often told them, like, had this specific idea of, I want you to be a doctor or whatever. So they responded by telling millennials, their kids, I don't care what you do, I just want you to be happy.
Yeah.
And that's actually harder and more pressure.
Like, there's like no...
because you can't just be happy. Like if you had told me to be a doctor, I could have been a doctor, but I can't just
and I could be a happy doctor.
Right, but I can't just achieve happiness by,
Yeah, that's really fascinating.
So it's almost more pressure to be like, well, I don't care, I just want, whatever is best for you. It's like, well, what is best for me? How am I supposed to know that?
Well, this also makes me think, my friend Landon, who watches us a lot, I bet Landon's watching right now. We love Landon.
Yep.
Landon was telling me yesterday, like because we were talking about purpose, and purpose kind of intimidates me, even though like this is kind of my job.
Yeah.
But I asked him, I was like, if I asked you right now to tell me what your purpose is, like, would you be able to answer it? Like, I thought I was being smart. And he was like, well, yeah, actually, I think it's kind of important that people know their purpose. And I was like, Landon, maybe the Lord's speaking to you.
You felt a little called out.
I felt a little called out. But what I loved, what he said is like, I always know my purpose, but I don't necessarily know how that's going to be lived out.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know that my job is always going to fulfill it. I don't know if like what I do with my friends is always going to fulfill it. Like, I have to listen to like my gut and the way that God is talking to me and like figure out what the next right step is to fulfill that purpose.
So even when you figure out the big thing, the small things are also hard to figure out.
Yeah.
I'm almost a little more demoralized now. Like I can't even if I do figure out the big thing, I still have to figure out the small things too.
It's all of the things. It's big and small things. Well, if our friends are watching, I'd love to know if you know what your purpose is.
Yeah. Or if you feel like you have a purpose, or do you need a purpose?
Or do you need help figuring it out?
How? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, we'd love to I would love to have a Zoom or a Google Chat, or if you're local, take you for coffee and talk about that kind of thing. And
what are the 3 things we like people to do? Like, comment, and share. So if you're a person who's watching this, like, comment, and share. Just do it.
Just do it.
Just do it.
That's your purpose in watching.
Yeah,
this.
your purpose in life
kidding.
is to like, comment, and share this video and every other video on this channel.
All of them. Anyway, we're so grateful you've been watching with us. We can't wait to see you next week.
Thank you.